Hello friends and welcome back. Today we're going to be working on steps 15 and 16, so that means we're going to be working on the zipper and the side seams. So let's get to it. So you're going to need your back pieces like this that have your darts already done and the back waistbands already attached. When we're going to get started, we're going to have it so that both pieces are facing each other and we're only going to be working here on this seam allowance. So the first part of this is we're going to pin it together, and using a basting stitch or a long running stitch, we're going to put the seam together here. So when we're putting this together, we want to make sure that our seam allowance are facing up. We don't want to have them split open. We do want to have them both going to the upside. And you can see it's just like that on the other side as well. So now I'm going to do my running stitch from this point here all the way up to the top. Okay, so now that my basting stitch is here, I'm going to go to the iron and I'm going to press it open, and that will take us through steps 15A. Okay, so I'm going to try and talk through step 15B. So what you're going to want to do is, after you've pressed open your seam, you want to unzip your zipper so that it looks like this, and we want to put, so the zipper pull here is down here. Now remember that little mark that I had right here, and it's also on your pattern that I've given you. We're going to put the zipper head on that point, and what we're going to do now is we're going to match up our zipper teeth here so that it lines up right on the seam line. You can see how I'm doing that here. It's going to go right on the seam line. Now if you notice, there's still 5/8 of a seam allowance above this zipper tape. That's fine. We want that. So we're going to put our zipper pull down here on the X, teeth on the seam line, and then what I want you to do is I want you to pin this bad boy in place. Okay, so now that I've pinned it into place, we look like this. Now, here's where I'm going to deviate from the steps. It says to just pin it into place and then go on to step C. I, however, am going to go ahead and stitch this into place. I feel like it's going to make my life a lot easier, and if it doesn't, then I'll try something different. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a back stitch by hand, and I'm going to start up here at the top, and I'm going to go all the way down. So actually I'm going to stop right above the zipper stop, which is right here. So following the center, you can see that thick line there. I'm going to back stitch along that line, and let's do it. So as you can see here, I have back stitched this zipper into place all the way to the top, and so now what I'm going to want to do is zip this guy up, and with the pull tab pointing out just like so, I'm going to go through and I'm going to repin this down, and then I'm going to back stitch again right along this lovely line here from the top all the way down to the bottom, and then I'm going to do a quick little cross stitch, back stitch across the bottom here to help hold it into place, to give it somewhere to have a nice anchor point to. So I'm going to pin it and then I'm going to stitch it. So before I start stitching, I just wanted to show you how I've got it pinned, and you can see it's pinned through the seam allowance onto the back side here. So yeah, now I'm going to go and stitch it. ahead and stitched this into place, and along with that lovely bar at the bottom. You can see a couple of places, like right here and right here, my thread broke. So all I did was snip, and then I started a little ways behind it and then started over again. So no big deal, just snip it and start a little ways back and then go ahead and resume your stitching. So that completes step 15, so the zipper is in. Now that the zipper is in, I'm going to go to the iron really quickly just to kind of press it nice and flat, because I did wad it up as I was stitching, so I'm just going to give it a nice little press. Okay, so since I'm nicely pressed, I'm going to go ahead and, using my snips, I'm going to go ahead and open this to make sure that the zipper is usable. Okay, so now that my seam is open, and you can see, I can indeed use a zipper. So yay! Amazing. Now that we have our zipper in, step 16 is to stitch the back onto the front at the side seams. So we're going to match up the side pieces to our notches here and our notches here, and we're going to stitch from the top of the waistband all the way to the bottom, and we're going to do that the same thing on both sides. So I'm going to do one side by hand and one side by machine. So as you can see, I'm pinned here, and I just want to make sure to remind you that when you go to pin this together to start sewing, you do want to make sure that the right sides are facing each other so that all of your seams are going in the same direction. So we can see the zipper here, and then if you lift it up, we can see the correct side of the front of the skirt. So we just want to make sure that we have the right sides together before we start pinning and stitching this together. Alright friends, so now that we have both of our side seams completed, we're going to go to the iron and press them open. got it all nice and pressed open, and thus completes step number 16. And at this point, we're about halfway done. Yay! So it actually is kind of a working garment at this point. We could put it on the form, and we would actually be at a point where we could do some alterations if we were going to actually have it on a human being. So here is our skirt so far. This is on the lovely Princess Glitter here, and you can see all of our wonderful top stitching. And if I turn her, there's our side seams and the zipper. So we do have a few things left to do. Obviously, we need to finish off our waistband on the end on the inside, and we'll also have some hem and another closure at the top. Okay friends, so that completes steps 15 and 16. Come back next time and we'll start working on steps 17 through 23. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all soon.